What's going on, everybody? It is Monday, September 23rd, 2024. It is 10:15 in the morning here in Germany. This is the Insanity Report for today. Now, here's a weird story, right? So, Ursula Von Der Leyen, and if you don't know who that is, Ursula Von Der Leyen is the European Commission President. The European Commission is an unelected body, undemocratically elected. Nobody there has gotten their place in power thanks to a vote from the citizenry of Europe. But that's a different story for a different day. Anyway, the European Commission President, Ursula Von Der Leyen, which is basically the female Dr. Evil, right? She's like female Klaus Schwab. I mean, she even looks Nazi-esque, should I say. You know, if you've seen her on TV, you know what I mean. She is absolutely horrible. Not only is she herself under criminal investigation for corruption, with some sort of Pfizer deal, back to the COVID times. And, you know, that doesn't say much because we all know that people like Ursula von der Leyen are never going to face accountability for anything they do. So even if the fraud is proven, even if the corruption is proven, she will get to still remain European Commission President and preside over all of Europe. You know, she announced on TV that they're going to lend Kiev, so Ukraine, they're going to lend Ukraine $40 million. They're going to lend it to them. Now, that's key right there. Just put that on ice for a second. So they're going to lend them $40 million. Not billion, not trillion. They're going to lend them $40 million, right? And the reason why they can lend them this money is because it's from windfall profits, so they say. They call it, Ursula von der Leyen calls it windfall profits from frozen Russian assets. Now, hang on a second. First of all, windfall profits are excess profits, so profits that are over the estimated amount of profits that they would have made. If you freeze somebody's assets and they can't operate, I'm not a financial expert, okay? I'm really not. And I might sound absolutely stupid here, but I'm just kind of like going off what I logically think could be the case here. I would assume that assets seized by seized assets. If you're a company and your assets are seized, I don't think you can operate and make more profit. So I don't see how they can consider money that is profit from stolen and frozen assets of Russian citizens. I don't see how that could generate a windfall profit. But I'll tell you what it's doing. Basically what the European Union, the European Commission has done is they have frozen Russian assets, Russian bank assets, and Russian business assets because of the war. It's like a sanction type thing. They feel like they can just freeze everybody's money whenever they don't play ball with what they want. So that's a dangerous thing in and of itself. So they've frozen billions and billions of dollars worth of assets. So that's sitting somewhere on a bank account, and that bank account, or those assets are accruing interest. And this 40 million is apparently being, cut off the interest made on these frozen assets. Now try to stay with me here, right? So we cut off the interest made by the frozen assets, and instead of what they've been doing for the first $240 billion given to Ukraine over the time of the war, now they're going to lend them $40 million. And they're going to, this $40 million is coming from the windfall profits of frozen Russian assets. I mean, isn't it wonderful how these people can spin words that actually mean one thing, but they spin it so that it means another thing? Because the way she says it, it's like, oh, well, of course we've got frozen Russian assets. And yeah, they shouldn't be making windfall profits. I mean, they're frozen. So actually, they shouldn't really be making any profits. And they probably aren't, right? I can't imagine how they would if their whole operation is frozen, right? And now they're calling this 40 million windfall profits. No. What they've done is they have stolen the interest and they're going to give it to Ukraine and they're going to loan it to them. Isn't that great? So they're going to loan them the money. And where's this money going to go if Ukraine pays it back? Is that going to go back onto the interest accounts of these frozen Russian assets so that when they are finally unfrozen, that they get the interest that has been accrued on their money? I highly doubt it. Okay? I highly doubt it. So this is basically a mafia racket, right? What they've done is they've stolen somebody else's money, Russia's, right? They've kept it from Russia and put it on their own bank account, right? They put it on their own bank account. They don't touch the money because apparently that goes too far, right? They can't really just give that money to Ukraine. That might cause world war. So they can't do that. So they've basically held on to the money, but that money is accruing interest. So they feel like, okay, well, I mean, it's our bank account. We're in control. It's our power. We're in power. And so they're basically going to just take the interest off stolen money and then give it to somebody else as a loan. So they're going to earn more interest on that loan. And then assuming Ukraine pays it back, which, okay, 40 million is like a drop in the bucket to what they've been getting. I mean, the difference between the 240 billion they've already gotten, and the 40 million they're going to get lent now is astronomical. I mean, our brains cannot comprehend how big of a difference that really is. That's huge. So after all that the West has done for Ukraine, you can assume that the least they could do is pay back 40 million bucks. Now, why is it in the form of a loan? Why don't they just give it to them like they have been all along? This I don't know. Maybe it's because they know that in the future there might be some sort of court deal about this money, and that it will turn out that they're not legally allowed to just steal the interest that it accrued and give it to a country that the pertaining country is at war with. And so they don't want to take a loss on it, although giving the money to Ukraine is also a loss. You know what I mean? I don't know how they're counting this. Maybe it's that they want to appease the public a little bit. They feel that the sentiment towards just continually dumping money into Ukraine while our own countries go completely to hell. Inflation is almost undoable. Gas prices are through the roof. Grocery prices are through the roof. And that all does come from all the money printing and then the giving to Ukraine. Because all of the countries that are giving to Ukraine in these exorbitant amounts, they are essentially broke. The only reason they can stay alive is because the government can print money. And that's what they're doing, causing inflation. So causing our lives to deteriorate while Ukrainians' lives are getting better because their economy is doing pretty good, especially for considering they're in war. But I'll get to that in a second. So, so they're going to just take the money that they earn on this interest and they're just going to loan it to Ukraine. So that sounds weird altogether. And why only 40 million? Well, that's, I guess, the interest that was accrued. And why a loan all of a sudden? And why such a small loan? Why is not a loan guarantee that they pay back all the other money? And then, of course, us taxpayers should get that money back once they do. But that's not how the whole racket is set up, right? No, they claim absolute power. They claim the absolute power to be able to freeze Russian assets because Russian people are bad all of a sudden. And the interest they gain on that money is theirs. That's how they look at it. They're like, well, that's our money. And we're going to loan it to Ukraine. And then we're going to earn money on repayment of the loan. And is that repayment loan, is the 40 million that they now took, is that going to go back to the Russian assets once the money's paid back? At the least? Probably not. And they don't talk about that either. I mean, it's a fucking disgusting racket. It's horrible that they can do this without any repercussions. Except, of course, the repercussions will be there because at a certain point, other countries are going to, and they already are. That's why the BRICS are forming, right? The BRICS states are forming because other countries are like, well, yeah, we can't trust the West at all because once we say something or do something that they may not approve of, they're just going to take it upon themselves to kick us off the SWIFT system, kick us out of banking, basically freeze all our assets, even Russian citizens that have nothing to do with Putin, Ukraine, the war, nothing. Their assets are being frozen thanks to the EU and the United States. And apparently now they're going to continue to give that money away to Ukraine. This time, though, they're loaning it. Now, I think that they understand that the sentiment is going down for continue to pay Ukraine. And I think that they're trying to couch this in the form of a loan so that it kind of like makes the European citizenry feel a little better. Like, oh, well, it's a loan, so we'll get it back. Yeah, you'll get it back. I'm sure that they will divide that money up amongst the grocery prices and the gas prices so that it kind of eases your daily costs or your monthly costs once the money is repaid by Ukraine, the 40 million of the then $280 billion they've already received. Yeah, that's going to do a lot, guys. That's going to do a lot. You know, it's about time that people stop listening to these politicians, you know, and start just watching what they do. You know, what they say is completely unimportant, and it's mostly a total fucking lie. So just stop listening to what they say and just watch what they do. Also, they're giving another $40 million to Ukraine, and how they couch it and how they do it and how they say they're going to do it and how great they are and how morally virtuous they are. All that shit doesn't really matter. What matters is they have stolen the assets of another country's citizens unilaterally. They have blocked them from access to those assets, and they have earned interest payments on the assets that they are now using at their discretion. And their discretion is they're going to loan it to Ukraine. These people are sick. These people are fucking really sick. Okay? And they're even sicker for believing that the majority of the people out there actually buy into their crazy shit. Now, they've been right for a long time, but I think that the people are waking up. I think that's changing. You know, I think that's changing. So that's a good thing. You see that the establishment is starting to panic, and they're thrashing in order to remain in power. It's like the last death throes of the establishment are now starting to happen, and they're going to do anything they can in order to remain in power. And everything that they say to the public is going to be a lie, because if they had to actually carry out the will of the people, they wouldn't be able to do all of their other personal projects that they want to do that have nothing to do with the people of the countries that those people are supposed to be representing. So, yeah, and Ursula Von Der Leyen, I mean, she's like the female version of Klaus Schwab. She's the Miss Dr. Evil. She's a horrible person, and again, like I said, under investigation herself, criminal investigation for corruption and fraud. And that's the person running the show, right? That's the person we're supposed to trust with, everything in Europe. We're supposed that she's the one. She is the one. She's the oracle. We all need to trust her. We all need to, bow at her feet. I think that's what they would like. You know what I mean? But Russia, of course, sees this as a major problem, and they also feel like the Europeans and the EU and the Westerners have completely lost their mind. They are in a state of delusion about how morally virtuous and powerful they are. And I did the weekly rant about it last week, that these people are going to eventually get people like me killed, because I live in Germany, so not that far from Russia and Ukraine, and their stupidity is going to eventually piss Russia off enough that they may very well lash out in a much more powerful way than they have thus far, and that may have long-lasting effects for us. And even though people may say, well, it's a small chance, he won't use nukes and all that shit, oh, well, that's all great that they say that, but I don't trust them. You see, I don't trust what they say, and so I don't like the fact that they're playing with my life, including making me pay for it, So not only are we paying for Ukraine with our tax dollars, right, with our tax money, Ukraine is getting funded from almost every Western country, and against the will of the people, because the people never got asked. The politicians decided unilaterally, without asking the people, they were going to fund Ukraine into oblivion at the cost of their own economies, of their own well-being, of their own citizens' prosperity, and against the will of the citizens. They're just going to do it, and they have. And it's caused dramatic economical downfall, especially for Germany. But for Ukraine, guys, Ukraine's economy is doing pretty good. I just saw a report about it. The grocery stores are stocked full. Electronics, all the electronics, computers, televisions, laptops, everything, they've got them all, cell phones, everything's back in stock in Ukraine. There was a little bit shortage in the beginning, but essentially they report that people, especially in Western Ukraine, are essentially living as if the war isn't really going on. The grocery stores are stocked. They got fruit, vegetables, meat, all the stuff in the grocery stores. And this is an official news report, right? And the reason, one of the economic people from Ukraine, I think he's an economist, a Ukrainian economist that said so. He said one of the reasons for this, of course, is the giant influx of money that Ukraine has received from the West. Now, hold on. Again, I'm not an economist, so I don't know if what I'm saying is true or not really. But how does money that is supposed to be for military aid and military weaponry, how does that get translated into improving the economy of Ukraine? You know what I'm saying? Not only are people in Ukraine living at a reasonably good standard for especially a war country, there are people that have fled Ukraine that live here in Germany that now regularly go back to their hometowns in Ukraine for vacation. So that's another thing. To think that Putin is in there fucking bombarding children's hospitals and killing civilians en masse. Look, they're not Israel, okay? They're not Israel. Obviously not. Because the people in Ukraine, especially in the west of Ukraine, seem to be doing A-okay. They even got to the point where they admit they ignore a lot of the air raid sirens. They're like, I'm not too worried. Not too worried. So, well, thanks to us, Ukraine is making itself great again. Okay? And look, I've got no beef. I think those people in Ukraine, the regular citizens, I believe the regular citizens of Ukraine are victims of this whole political idiocy, right? They're not, those aren't bad people, and they deserve to have warm homes and food in the grocery stores, and they deserve to be able to buy it at a normal cost, and they deserve to live under low inflation. You know, they've knocked their inflation down since the war started. Ours has just gone up. I think that's cause and effect, guys. Our inflation is going up and our standard of living is going down so that we can improve the standard of living and lower the inflation in Ukraine. And the Ukrainian economy people, the people that know what they're talking about, are admitting as much. They're like, yes, it's because of the money that's been flowing into Ukraine. But I thought that money was for weapons and aid, not for economic stabilization, right? So, I mean, that's kind of weird, right? I mean, what I don't understand is why aren't more people asking these kind of questions? Like, wait a second, how can they have reduced inflation and grown the economy and stabilized the economy in a supposedly war-torn country with the money that we've given them? We're not trying to pay the Ukraine to have a good standard of living. I thought it was for survival. But I guess we're being lied to on that front too, right? It's not really survival. It's for economic stability, weaponry, and the coffers of the corrupt and the wealthy. That's what it's for. And so I'm glad, look, for the Ukrainian people, I'm glad that you guys got all your supplies at the grocery store, that life is actually pretty good, that you can get your electronics, and that your economy is stabilizing. That's good. More power to you. You should have that. But so should we, right? Let's be honest. So should we. And it can't be that we just keep going backwards in order to make Ukraine continue to go forwards. That doesn't make much sense, guys. I'm sorry, right? I'm sorry. And now you guys are getting a $40 million loan from Ursula Von Der Leyen because of stolen money from Russia. Isn't that great? Now they do admit that internet and power is jumpy in the Ukraine. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. But they say also, in general, the power's always on. Sometimes we have cutoffs and stuff like that. Okay, for a war-torn place, I guess that's not too bad. They're not doing too bad. But that's thanks to money that has been stolen from us as citizens and given to Ukraine. Okay? And the reason why I say stolen is because, again, I was never asked if tax money that's supposed to go to the infrastructure of the country that I pay taxes for. And in Germany, as I told you guys 2 weeks ago, the bridges are falling because the infrastructure is not being maintained. And I drive over these bridges with a 40-ton truck every day. If my truck crashes through one of these bridges and I survive, do you think I'm going to get any money from the German government for their big fuck-up? No. No, I'm just fucked. But actually, my money's supposed to be going to fixing those bridges. And to be totally honest, since I drive on those bridges every day, I would rather my money go to fixing the infrastructure in the country where I drive a giant truck over every day in order to preserve my life, over making Ukraine great again. Sorry, that's Ukraine's problem. our problem is these bridges here, right? That's what our problem is. And that's what they should focus on, but they're not. They're not doing that. They're focusing on everything else. So, if you're Ukrainian, I know you understand what I'm saying here. I get it that, that you guys don't have it easy. I'm not saying you do. But what I'm saying is, our money has been stolen by politicians that never asked us our opinion about any of this. They didn't ask you guys, by the way, either, if you wanted to go to war with Russia. They just did it, right? So they just did it. We are all victims of the political class, of the establishment class, of a ruling class of people that have no idea what they're doing. They're incapable, incompetent, and downright stupid in a lot of instances, right? They have no idea what they're doing. And they have decided to rob the money from the people of their own countries and give it to a foreign country because they want to, because they feel like they have to, because they feel like that's the best thing to do. Without referendum, without a vote, nothing. And now, sitting at the top of the power heap in the European Commission is a suspected corrupt politician called Ursula Von Der Leyen that is under criminal investigation as we speak. At least, I think she still is. Normally these kind of things for people like her just kind of get swept under the rug and they go away. But last I heard, she was under criminal investigation. And I haven't heard that she's been convicted or indicted. And I haven't heard that the cases have been dropped either. So they'll probably just go away on their own when people get, tired of paying attention again. And they'll be like, I heard something about that. She might be corrupt. But, she's the European Commission President. So that's cool. That's cool. So it's disgusting. I mean, really, I hate that I have to be a part of societies like these, that we are at the mercy of this ruling class of morons. I hate it. I really do. And I hope that we can change it. And we're really trying. Everybody's out there trying. We need to get these people out of power as quick as we can and then start tweaking the system to put them back into the frameworks they were designed as. But I can go on forever, guys, but I'm not going to do that. Just to give you guys a little Ukrainian update. So I know you'll be glad to hear that the Ukrainian economy is doing good. Yeah, that their grocery store supplies and all of their electronic supplies and et cetera are back in stock, and that they are living essentially as if there is no war. That's great for them. Really, I'm not being sarcastic. I really like that for them. But what I don't like so much is the way they're doing it, because we're doing it, right? And it needs to stop. And these corrupt people need to go. And before I ramble on too much, I'm going to cut it here. Guys, that was the Insanity Report for today. If you want my videos, if you want my articles delivered directly to your inbox as soon as they come out, then all you got to do is subscribe to my Substack. The links are below. You can do it for free. You can also do it for $5 a month. I would really appreciate that. Any support is welcome. And go ahead and subscribe down below. If you're following me somewhere else, if you're watching this somewhere else, like maybe on Rumble or YouTube or TikTok or X, then go ahead and follow me in all those places. But it's eventually, please come down to the Substack. That's where all the content is centralized. It's centralized all in one place. You'll get it all in your inbox when it comes out. It's the easiest for me. It's the easiest for you. And it's the best way to go, where I'll be able to contact you at all times and you'll be able to contact me at all times, is to subscribe to the Substack. So go to it'sallaboutlogic.substack.com. That's it'sallaboutlogic, all one word, .substack.com. And we'll see you guys on the next one, which is tomorrow. Just a heads up, guys, this is the last week, and then I'll be on vacation for a week. So Friday will be the last Insanity Report. Saturday, we'll have another weekly rant and the podcast recommendations on the weekend. But starting on Monday, I'm going to be gone until the Monday after, because I have some time off work. I've got vacation, and my wife and I are going to drive to Poland to see Auschwitz for the first time. I've never seen it up close. I've never visited there. I always have wanted to, because, I mean, it is a very interesting place in history to visit. A lot of horror went on there. A lot of terror went on there. And I think it's humbling and good to see places like this up close. So it won't be a beach vacation with a lot of Mai Tais and tequilas and drinking and fun. It's going to be more of a somber yet serious visit to a very, very detrimental place from history. So I will definitely let you guys know how that went. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up so you understand why all of next week there will be no content, no videos. All right, guys. Then take it easy. See you guys tomorrow, and have a good one.